We've got some really exciting speakers lined up for you, and there's a what's next for Tracer. There's a few what's next, if you will. But there's a space that we're looking at and finding our way through and figuring it out. How many of you have heard the terms, I'm going to hold on that, virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, hopefully everybody, artificial intelligence? Do you believe that this is going to have a big impact on you in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? And what if I told you that there's not a single company represented in this room that won't be materially impacted by the world of mixed reality and artificial intelligence within, let's say, the next 5 years? You could argue that it'd be 2 or 3 years. The guys that are speaking after me maybe will have an opinion on that. But what if I told you? Would you believe that? We don't have the answers. We don't have all the answers, but we're figuring it out. You've trusted us in the past to analyze these trends, and this will be no different. But in the meantime, we've got 2 individuals that I referenced earlier that spend a lot of time in this space and have probably forgotten more about mixed reality and artificial intelligence that some of us will ever know. These are the guys that Mark Zuckerberg calls when he wants to double down on Facebook's artificial intelligence strategy. These are the guys that know at a very intimate level the AI mixed reality strategies for companies like Apple and Google. And they've written a fantastic book. I see it's nicely placed in front of all of you, a fantastic book called The Fourth Transformation. So please help me welcome Robert Scoble and Shel Israel. You're right.
What's going on? Thank you. All right. You're starting to see a lot of new things coming along, and in the next 36 months, you're going to see a variety of glasses that are a lot smaller than this Microsoft HoloLens that I'm wearing, that are going to let you do all sorts of amazing things. Why can we say that? Shel, why can we say that?
Because of everything Chad just said, for one thing. Let's pick up on the fourth trend. This, is, by the way, is the amazing Ant-Man, and I'd like to give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm Robert, and this is Shel.
Okay.
Shel named PowerPoint. Siri was launched in my son's bedroom. I had the first ride in the first Tesla, so I've been covering bleeding edge technologies for a long time, and so has Shel. Where do you think this is going, and why do we have the insights that other people didn't have?
It's going everywhere, and for the sake of transparency, Mark Zuckerberg hasn't called, he hasn't written just yet, as Chad implied, but he will soon. But Robert started about 2011 when he came across a company that would be acquired by Apple, and he started connecting dots and breadcrumbs, and he started seeing a pattern that was more disruptive than anything that we have seen. A little bit about Robert and I in our background is in 2005, we started getting together because we had nothing in common except one question. What's coming next in technology? In our first book, we had a radical thought for business decision makers, and that was that blogging was going to be important to business, and it would be called something new called social media. So Robert's side of it is that he's a tech guy. He goes out there, he meets all these people, he plays with all these shiny objects, and he starts seeing all these things that come together. And he comes back. I'm at home usually writing and trying to do some business deals and a little consulting. And he comes back and says, Shel, I saw this thing is going to change the world. It's really terrific. And I'm a journalist by training, and when he starts talking like that, I remember what my first editor taught me. If my mother says she loves me, I better get a second source. So I start checking the facts with Robert and seeing whether he's exaggerating or not. And amazingly, he keeps being right. So about 3 years ago, he came to me and said, we've got this new thing, it's called virtual reality. People zap aliens with their fingers in glasses, and I said, I'm not a gamer, I'm not interested. But he kept telling me that something fundamental was happening, and I came to believe him. So that resulted in our third book together, The Fourth Transformation. Well, let me tell you about the four transformations in a biblical form. In the beginning, there were mainframes, and very few people could do very few things with these huge, expensive pieces of equipment. And then the first transformation came, and we could actually talk to computers with our hands on keyboards. And it moved from the bellies of big businesses onto the desks of knowledge workers. Then a few years later, we could do it even faster and easier with a pointing and a clicking. And then something amazing happened after that, and it was that we could touch this device that we could walk around with and do all kinds of stuff. You can still actually talk to another human being in real time. Some of you may not realize that, but you can also end boredom whenever you're standing in a line in a supermarket, or threaten your own life because you just have to squeeze off that text while you're driving. That brings us to today. Today we are still in the third transformation. The smartphone is the center of our digital lives. But with each of these transformations coming up to this point, what has happened is more people could do more things with more technology at a lower price, and it became more and more central to culture and the world and communications and entertainment and everything else.
This is a new user interface coming, and one that a 4-year-old girl came over my house, picked up a headset like this, and instantly found Job Simulator, which she knew she wanted to play. She did not ask a question about how this thing worked or how my HTC Vive worked. She figured out how to pick it up, use it, find Job Simulator, and copy a file from a file cabinet to another file cabinet. How long did it take us in this room to learn that in DOS? Or?
I never learned that. You did. And then I made money writing about people that learned how to do that and said it was cool.
So if a 4-year-old kid can approach a piece of technology like this and learn to do some pretty complex stuff without any instruction.
This is the transformation. When Chad was talking, he said this is coming in the next 5 years. It has to come. Look at the forces behind it. Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, just to name the core four of it, but there are dozens of other companies. There are thousands of startups, all with dreams, all forcing the envelope, all bringing upon a transformation that some of you may never embrace. I'm probably among the oldest kids in the room, and my wife and my friends my age just hate this stuff. But this little girl, she represents one of two new generations coming that were born after the iPhone was here. And that's like us being born after the typewriter was here.
Yeah. So Steve Jobs and Tim Cook had a conversation about 7 years ago about the future of television and about how the world is going to work. And if you've been to the sports book here in Caesars, you get a pretty good sense of what is coming in these glasses. I get as many TV screens around me as I want. What you're seeing here is a startup in France who's building a new kind of television for the HoloLens and for other mixed reality glasses coming soon. And it starts with the thing that you're going to augment your existing TV. But why stop there? With these glasses, you get as many screens around you as you want. So you pay $3,000 for one device, and you get hundreds of screens around you virtualized. And you can grab these screens and make them bigger and drag them around. At home, I have 5 screens on my desk that are stuck there virtually, and I work with a little Bluetooth keyboard. When Tim Cook says that AR is more important than VR, this is a hint of why he believes that, because we're going to be able to wear glasses someday, 3-4 years from now, 2 years from now, like this, that we can wear into a shopping mall or a sporting event or other places. And
except they're going to look more like this.
Coming soon, I know of several companies that are coming out with 4-ounce glasses that do basically what this HoloLens does in twice the range. We already covered some of the generational shifts that are happening here. Minecrafters are one of them, and they see the world in 3D. The kids
let me talk about the Minecrafters. There used to be called Generation Zs, and Demographers really are boring us with terms like this, and these are not the N. Z represents the last letter. These are kids that learn to code before they get into kindergarten. When they have a problem, when they do something cool, they share the code so other people can use it. But more important, as Robert just stated, Minecraft starts teaching them to see the world in 3 dimensions. Not 2, not on a flat screen, but with some depth to it. And there's several 100 million of them. They're your next customers. If you're looking forward over the next 5 or 10 years, these kids are in high school or college. The millennials, who we keep calling young, will start becoming grandparents 10 years from now. And then Robert mentioned the generation that comes after them. Robert?
I have an image of a pair of glasses. The one on the left is the Snapchat glasses. It does not have a screen in it. The one on the right is lenses from a company in Israel called Loomis. Loomis has a 720p monitor in those lenses and a little computer over on the side. These are coming in the next year from a variety of different vendors, and there's going to be a lot of competition. I just want to show why we believe this is coming soon. What did Zuck see, and why was Facebook's announcements a couple of weeks ago so important?
Yeah, backing up a little, Zuck has seen quite a few things. First chapter in our book is called What Zuck Saw, because a year ago he was picturing devices such as that looked something like what I'm doing, and he was predicting something that didn't make sense to a lot of people. It was based on what he saw at Stanford with the beginnings of a company he bought called Oculus. This year he declared that the future of Facebook is as a social VR, social augmented reality platform. That's a big difference from a social network. It means that what you're looking at here is how you're going to be interacting with people online and social networks. We are going into an era when people are going to be communicating with each other as if we were in the same space when we're not. We're all over the world. And we're finding each other the way we still do, based on our common interests.
It's really interesting being in Facebook Spaces, which is what you're seeing on the screen here, because I can call you on Facebook Messenger, and even though you don't have a VR headset, you appear as a virtualized phone in my space, and I can drag you around and put pictures of my kids over here, make them bigger, and really interact with you in a completely different way. And if you are in VR, then I can see your hands and your headset, and I can throw Frisbees with you and play all sorts of games, right? How does this work? Yesterday, Google showed off its Tango indoor mapping system. It's using a new technology called SLAM, simultaneous location and mapping. It sees points around the room and knows exactly where the phone or the glasses are in that room, and it knows a lot about where you are. Every room is a fingerprint, has a fingerprint. This room is unique. There's no room in the world exactly like this. So if I can see a few pieces of this room in a computer, my computer knows exactly where my glasses are. When Tim Cook says VR is, or AR is more important than VR, I didn't understand what he meant until I saw this video. Because the AR glasses are going to know everything about every surface in the room around you. And it's going to know that there's a space here to play basketball with your friends. And it could put a blue line over there and says, walk into the room. And we're going to see a demo of what this works right here.
There we go. So now you can see there's actually a world in there that it's showing me. Hey guys, it's Paul. I'm here with the Hollow Herald again today for what we're going to kind of consider an app preview. So this app's not big enough to really do a review. It's just kind of cool idea that someone did with the technology, kind of to give you guys an idea of what you can do with the technology. So I'm just going to bloom. Then I'm going to open up, it's called Doko Demo Teleportation Door, and it's actually a really cool app. So I'm just going to place it. Okay. Then mute, so it was made in Unity, much like everything with HoloLens right now. Okay, so you can kind of hear it. It's pretty loud music. So I'm going to say Play Store. So I'm going to place it right in front of me. You can see how well that works. Place door. So now it's on the ground. It's a little short door, but it's pretty cool. So now we're just going to say, open door. Open the door. Come on. There we go. So now you can see there's actually a world in there that it's showing me. So I'm going to get in there. And yeah, it's just like a cool little world someone made in Unity, where if you walk through that door that I just walked through, right there, you can see it's kind of like just showing what you can do with augmented reality. This is really mixed reality. It's pretty cool. In my opinion, this will kill, once the graphics on this stuff gets better, this will kill VR. And it's just incredible because really good AR will definitely beat VR. So, I don't know, it's just a really cool little app that kind of shows the capabilities. So now, after we're done looking around, I'm just going to head on out. And yeah, let's do that. I'm walking through the terrain kind of here, but you get the idea. Then walk out the door, no holograms, turn around, close the door. Close door. There we go, door's closed, and yeah, thanks for checking it out.
And many of you probably are using VR somewhere in your corporation. Disney's new theme park in Shanghai, China was built completely in VR. Ford cars, if you go to their R&D center in Silicon Valley, they have a huge room where they can test out cars using AR and VR, or build cars using these techniques. Soon, we're going to capture the world in a new way, right? I have a 360 camera that costs $200 that hooks onto my iPhone. This does not capture things in volumetric or depth yet. It captures just a ball of pixels around. I took a picture earlier and put it on my Facebook page. But soon, we're going to capture things in volumetric. I talked with a guy who runs a new camera company called 8i. And I asked him, how soon am I going to be able to watch a football game on my kitchen table and walk around it with a pair of glasses? And he says 4 years. So that gives you a time frame of how a guy who's building a company is thinking about his future. But here we're going to see a video done by Microsoft and ActionGram, which shows one of these volumetric cameras. You'll see 50 cameras capturing George Takei in a second. And let's watch that, and then we'll talk a little bit more about photography.
ActionGram is an app that allows you to bring holograms into the real world and create and share videos.
Being able to incorporate visual effects into live action right there on set is a lot of fun. It gets your brain going.
It's great to work with holograms in the first place. That's already cool, but the fact that there are these iconic characters makes it even cooler.
By the way, he was Mr. Zulu on Star Trek. He ran the holodeck.
So go ahead and have a seat. And I see somebody there in an orange sweater. That's me. This is fascinating.
We talked about holograms on Star Trek, and to actually be doing that in reality today, it was a lot of fun. Technology and being a part of it at the cutting edge is a thrill that very few human beings get.
So it was really fun creating videos with the George Takei holograms because he's just hilarious.
Oh, no, she didn't.
You get this like really high bar of talent that you normally wouldn't get to work with.
Love that.
It's not every day that you get a chance to work with George Takei.
Live action holograms that are three-dimensional and function within your actual three-dimensional space was mind-blowing.
I think it's a really exciting time for video creation and storytelling.
And Shel, we visited the PGA Tour. They came to our brand breakfast at South by Southwest. What are they doing in this new HoloLens world?
Yeah, first of all, just backing up a little, national sports teams, professional sports teams everywhere are getting deeply committed and immersed in both VR and AR technology. We've spoken to people in San Francisco Giants, the Warriors, PGA, there's pro soccer teams, rugby teams. Why is this? Because fans can have a more immersive and superior experience than they've had before. Live professional sports are competing with TV while they're also partnering with them. They're competing with the neighborhood tavern, as the owner of the New England Patriots told us. And they're using this technology to do things that have never been done before. You could watch this on a headset, according to the PGA. Well, this was a Florida, I forgot the name of the course. You can see where every player's shot is going, where it's landing. I think you can also pull down the stats on what the likelihood is of his making par or subpar on every one of these. In football, they're using virtual reality so that you can see when your quarterback goes back what his odds are of making that shot. There's also programs to help that quarterback get his arm in exactly the right position. And wherever we turn, that's what we're seeing. The immersiveness of AR and VR is the aha moment here, because professional sport teams are understanding that if you can be in the huddle with the team you like, there's an entirely new experience that's different than anything you've seen before. If you can go back with your quarterback on that field, it's going to be different than anything you've seen before. But this same type of end-user experience is finding its way into retail, as Robert will talk about. It's finding its way into corporate training of oil rig workers who are learning how to put out a fire out at sea before they ever leave corporate headquarters training rooms. So wherever we're turning, this idea of an immersive experience being led right now by pro sports is coming in with some decent speed.
I think there's some lessons here if you talk to the PGA Tour. One, they know that it's not here today. Nobody has glasses to go to a golf match like this, but they're making the investments in putting sensors on every course, in taking 3D imagery of every course, and they're thinking about how their customer experience will change in the 3-4 years forward, when people are going to have glasses and are going to come to sporting events. Football is putting sensors in the ball itself so it knows the spin rates of the ball. They're putting sensors on the players' pads so that they can see all sorts of new stats, both for today's television, but soon when glasses wearers go to a football game, they'll be able to see how fast their favorite player is running while trying to catch a ball, right?
Chad said earlier something to the effect of, this future is sooner than you think. And it is. We have followed these transformations, and they all happen with amazing surprise. Most corporate decision makers are not bothering with this yet. They see it out there, it's interesting, it's mostly gamers and all the rest. But there are these forces at hand that are going to make this happen sooner than you may realize. And you don't have to be that far out, you just have to be a little ahead of your current customers and your competitors. And some smart kid who thinks they can do what you're doing better by using this technology.
The next one is education. So this is the best education technology humans have ever created. So tell us of what's happening in education.
We have it. Yeah. What you see here are anatomy students at Case Western. The next time you or someone you love is being operated on, that surgeon may have learned what to do by using virtual technology instead of pulling a frozen cadaver out of the meat chest in the back of the laboratory. They can see what real live organs look like, their relationship to other places. In Massachusetts, doctors can take a tour of a perfectly healthy heart. They go through it, it's 25 feet high, and they can have 3D models in their hands of a patient's heart. And they can find an anomaly that was not traceable before by comparing it to the healthy heart. So healthcare, we've written 3 books where healthcare was always a complaint, 5 paragraphs of you can't even get your records moved without carrying a manila folder, to suddenly healthcare is moving forward with monumental speed. MindMay is a Swiss company with a mere $1.3 billion in investment, is using brain waves in a huge headset out to here to help cure schizophrenia, treat Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, stroke trauma, and the pain of losing a limb through amputation. So in the next 5 years, I'm sorry about this. In the next 5 years, we will be seeing a transformation in healthcare that is like nothing we've ever seen before. And fortunately, it's all apolitical. And it is the way it's training, it's the way hospitals are equipping themselves.
So this is already being used at Caterpillar to train people how to fix $1 million tractor. Boeing has hundreds of these HoloLenses and is teaching people how to fix a jet engine on top of the jet engine. That's why this is such a powerful education technology. No longer do you put people in a class reading books or watching a video. No, they're learning to fix the engine on top of the engine in real time, and it shows them how to fix it, what panels to open, what screws to take out, what cords to look for, and it checks their work in real time because the sensors are seeing everything that you're doing in real time.
These little doodads here are little sensors that when reduced in size can go into a headset, and you can actually move things around and do all the computing you would do on a phone or on a desktop with your eyes. This is not eye tracking, this is eye influence.
Yeah. This is, you're about to see Jim Margraf, who's founded a company called iFluence, which just got bought by Google, I don't know, 6 months ago. And we haven't seen a product yet with eye sensors in it, but we can see that they're coming soon.
And Google's talking about a new operating system, and we think that it's going to be one that uses the technology that Jim Margraf is about to demonstrate for us.
He only let me film a small portion of his demo. The part he wouldn't let me film was he had me pull some stuff out of my pocket, and he said, and he put a pair of glasses on me. He said, look at them. And I looked at my iPhone 6, and a menu popped off the iPhone 6. First of all, it recognized it was an iPhone 6s Plus, and it recognized how much it was costing on Amazon. It let me buy it just with my eyes. So watch the screen, because he's controlling everything just with his eyes on this video.
If I want to, I can change pages. Here's another a close-up of some electronics in our office, and I can go home when I want to. Over here is a medical application, and I'm gonna
All with your eyes.
All with my eyes. So I'm doing this solely with my eyes as fast as I can look. I'm not waiting, I'm not winking, I'm just looking. And here I've got the patient, I've got some allergy record, or protocols, insurance, confidential information, current conditions, why is he here? Well, he tells me he's got a pain in his foot. Notice I'm looking at this, but there's nothing happening on the screen. But when I decide, for instance, that I want to check out his x-ray, there it is. And now I want to go back because a couple screens ago there was some confidential information, which is here. And now it's going to take a picture of my eye. It grabs it, says, oh, who is that? Confirms that it's me. And in a moment you'll see that it'll give me access. I'm Jim, head of CEO and founder of iFluence, and there it is. I've got confidential information. When I want to, I can return home as fast as that.
That's amazing.
All with my eyes.
That's amazing.
The eye sensors give us 3 new capabilities that we don't have on our phones today. One is biometric off of our eyes, so that the wearer is going to be identified, and you're going to be able to build security systems that know that somebody is actually wearing this device, and you're going to be able to show things to just a specific person, because these glasses are a personalized viewing device. Second, you're going to get a new kind of compression called foveated rendering, because where your eye actually is looking is where you can perceive detail. And so it doesn't need to uncompress a lot of polygons or voxels or volumetric pixels around where you can't perceive them. So you can, according to the experts I've talked to, flip Moore's Law twice. In other words, go 4 years into the future and use a small GPU to do a lot more polygons and a lot more apparent visual richness around you. And you also get a really amazing new user interface and new ways to interact with the world. You can type with your eyes on a virtual keyboard that's right here. So I could be talking to the world without touching with my hands. How is this going to change retail?
We saw Mr. Zulu before, and he had the holodeck. Lowe's is one of the early retailers coming in. They're using a special Google Tango-empowered phone that has AR in it. You can also do it with the tablet you're seeing in this picture. So here's what happens. You go into Lowe's, I think it's in 15 stores now, and it's not quite working perfectly yet. But you have on your phone the measurements of your kitchen or your bathroom. And then you can take products that are sold by Lowe's and see what the kitchen you're planning will look like with this flooring, with this countertop. If your window is on the north side and the holodeck has it on the east side, you just move the window over to another place. So you can just stand there and get exact precision and walk through a model of what your new kitchen will look like. All you got to do is buy this stuff from Lowe's.
Westfield Labs, we visited their R&D lab in San Francisco. They already know where almost every product is in a shopping mall. They own a lot of shopping malls around the world. And again, it's back to the lessons. They're spending a lot of money on infrastructure because they know this stuff is coming and you're going to want to find product on your phone or on your glasses soon. And they're going to put a blue line on the floor taking you to the blue jeans in a shopping mall and tell you how many steps it is and stuff like that.
There's already an app for that we wrote about in our book called Aisle 411. And in their dream, I don't know if it'll ever come through, as you walk along the blue line to the blue jeans you may want, a celebrity of your choice will walk with you and suggest other items for you to buy on your way to the one you want to buy.
Yeah.
It's a new kind of marketing.
I visited Nickelodeon's VR R&D lab, and they're already talking about having SpongeBob taking you around places and malls and to
I
different
want
things.
SpongeBob, and I don't wear makeup often.
We visited also Sephora's R&D lab, and they're already putting augmentation on the signs in the store, so you can take your Sephora app and aim it at signs and see all sorts of things come off the signs. And they're also building augmented reality makeup, and I tried it on the app. You can try, let's say, pink lipstick on your face. It doesn't look all that great on me. But what was really interesting, and I think this is going to be a directive for a lot of companies, the virtual makeup matches the physical makeup. And so I believe every brand is going to have a virtual component to it and a physical component to it, and they need to match up in some way. And the act of making an augmented piece of it is going to make the physical piece better and more attractive. And this is what the lipstick looks like in augmented reality. You can try different lipstick and different looks on your face in augmented reality on the iPhone today. This is shipping today. This isn't, you don't have to wait for the glasses for this kind of stuff. Soon we're going to be working together in a new way. You know, when we visited Sephora's R&D lab, they have a physical store in a big warehouse where they can test out different concepts and walk people through the store and see if the layout of the store is proper or if the displays really are done well and all that. But soon we're going to be walking people through virtual things, and we're going to work together in virtual ways. We're going to touch virtual interfaces. We're going to move things virtually together, right? Because you could be in, we've seen demos at Microsoft where Shel is actually joining us from Hawaii right now in a hologram, right? I met the guy who designed or captured the Mars imagery where they used it on stage, and two guys walked around Mars on stage at a conference, right? So this just gives you a sense of when you're working in this new world, this new virtual 3D augmented world, you're going to be able to call people in virtually. This is what they look like. You're going to have virtual assistants. You saw one right there on the stage. And you're going to be able to work in 3D on all sorts of new kinds of products and services without building something. This is why Disneyland did this, or Disney did this with the new Disney theme park in Shanghai. They found it reduced the time to get to market, and it saved them a lot of money compared to building a physical model, which is the way that they would have walked their stakeholders around previously, right? And it's happening here. Last night I was hanging out at the bar, and a guy came up and showed me that he's building a security system that you're going to be able to walk around your network in virtual reality and see your network in a new way. And you're going to see that the yellow ones are being marked, and that the size of these things is telling you that there's too many connections to one computer. So now you can click on that and see why is there 10 connections to one computer, and can start looking at your network in a new way. It's incredible what's going on.
The point of it is that a year ago, if we were here, this would have been much further away from you. But there are people in this room who are already doing this stuff.
Yeah.
There may be competitors of yours who are already starting to do this stuff. And you may be focused on the challenges you have for this quarter or next quarter. But if you just keep looking at the quarters and you don't become aware of technology that is going to disrupt what you're doing in the next 1, 2, or 3 years, then you may be making a mistake.
And this was Jared from ProtectWise that showed me this. It's really stunning to think about visualizing your business in a new way. We visited a company called Looker in Santa Cruz, and they're doing the same thing. Looker's a BI tool that Uber and Snap and Twilio and other businesses use. It combines all the big data sets into a single user interface, and then gives a query language that was built for this system. And soon you're going to be able to say, hey, what's the sales on the East Coast versus the West Coast of millennials? And you'll see it in a chart right on your table, and you'll be able to walk around it and see your business in a new way, just the same way ProtectWise showed me that you're going to soon be able to walk around your network in a new way.
So I think if I were to capsulize everything we're trying to tell you, there's a new customer coming. They're not quite there yet, but they're coming. And they're going to expect to use the new technology the way your current customer expects to use the established technology. And your previous one wanted a website, and the one before that, I guess, used carbon paper and whiteout. So we have some lessons for you who aren't doing, not lessons, some homework for you. Just 4 tips on where you should go moving forward. Robert?
There's several books that get you in this mindset. One that keeps getting mentioned to me is Ready Player One, because it shows you a world that is coming, and it helps you dream a little bit about this new world and start thinking about your business in a new way and thinking about what your business might be looking like in 5 years. I know you guys are pressured to keep the quarterly results going, but at some point you need to think about where your business is going over the next 5 years. And hopefully we've given you a little taste of that.
If you have already read our book, which is in front of you, you can skip this because we have a chapter entitled, What Could Possibly Go Wrong? And it happens to be the longest chapter in our book. But there is a movie that gives you some other sense of it. It's called Black Mirror.
TV show.
TV show, sorry. It's quite popular. I'm not the demographic, and I actually haven't seen it. But it shows you the problems that can and probably in some places will. We live in a world where all sorts of stuff is getting hacked in the ugliest sorts of way. All the way through history, when there's new technology, spears were invented to hunt beasts, and we started using them on each other. So there will be downsides to what's coming. We didn't write a book saying, this is great, do this. We wrote a book saying, this is happening. Here's the evidence that it's happening. Yeah. And then we've started a business now to help companies get into the transition.
One thing that I've learned by visiting places like Nickelodeon is the bleeding edge companies are playing with this stuff and building stuff for VR today. They know VR isn't going to necessarily be the multiple billions of dollars product, at least not in the near term, although thanks to the announcements that Google made yesterday and others that are coming soon from Apple and others, you might see that change over the next year. But by getting into VR and understanding that you can play Frisbee with your friend over the internet or walk around spaces, you start dreaming about your business in a new way. It's really important to start understanding the user interfaces that are coming, the interaction models that are coming, the design language that is coming. And you got to start hiring your Unity developers today because they're pretty cheap right now, but in a year they're not going to be so cheap, and you're going to have to pay a little bit more for getting the talent that's going to build this kind of world.
And then the closing advice to you, particularly in enterprise environments, start very small. Figure out a way to just dabble a toe into this ocean of change that's coming. Get your arms around it. Try the stuff as Robert recommended, but do a little project that's not mission critical so that when it's suddenly the pressure is on you, you know what you're doing already. If you try and fail this little project, at least you're wiser. You'll know what happened and you'll know how you can do it better.
On my Facebook every day, I put up 2 to 15 items. This morning, I just put up Nike is using this technology to build new kinds of shoes. And that's the lesson. Hopefully, we gave you a little taste into what we're seeing coming over the next couple of years. And thank you so much. It's a big honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.